Hey, Ag Teacher Thoughts here, coming at you with kind of a final video for the baskets. Maybe not quite the final, because we will do a teardown. But this is the final video where we're going to be doing propagation of things that are coming off the baskets. So in about a week, we're forecast to have 30-degree temperatures. So when I say 30 degree, I mean in the 30s, which means that we're at really high risk of actually having frost. So because that's coming, I've decided it's time to go through and take final cuttings off the baskets of anything we can save so that we can grow some baskets of our own next spring that use the same styles of plant material or same varieties of plant material that I've already used in our hanging baskets. And since these are all commercial varieties, not something you're generally going to find in a 4-inch pot at a nursery, it's rather important I get these done since I don't have a large enough operation to go ahead and order those in myself. So we're going to take a couple of cuttings. I'll show you some stuff we're going to try to save. We're going to add it to one of our pre-existing trays. I already have some stuff that is rooted and came out of this one. I know these look really rough, but these are late summer cuttings, so we do expect a lot of those to fail. But we're just going to add to this tray, and then we're going to put it on our rooting mat to try to help promote that root growth. And, we'll put it back in the little tiny research house and hope that things continue. So let's get into it. So one of the things that I want to save is Kufia, otherwise known as bat face flower. And see if we can get a good up close of this. That is a really neat flower. It looks like a little face of a bat. There's his wings, his eyes, his nose. It's a really neat plant. It's really kind of hard to grow in a greenhouse, that it's really moisture sensitive. So we're just going to go through and we're going to take some tip cuttings, knowing that there's a chance that we might lose them. But the good thing about Kufia is I know this is one of the few plants in my basket that I will actually be able to get. This isn't going to be a tutorial on cuttings. I already have those videos out. I'll try to link them in the description. How to take cuttings like a professional. That is one in a series that I would recommend going and looking at. I did a whole series on planting seeds and taking cuttings and planting plugs and planting pots. So there's a whole series of those available that you can go ahead and reference. So this is just me getting some work done right before the end of the growing season in hopes to save some of this plant material. I'm going to go ahead and just take the tip off of that one because I want this one to focus on roots and foliage. I just took the blossoms off. We'll try to get it to do buds from the outside. The real tough thing is this Kufia, the bat face flower, really does not like high moisture. So it's going to be tough to get it to root and not die in the greenhouse. We're going to take some cuttings of our verbena. I believe this is a purple verbena. I don't see an open blossom to show you that. But we're going to just take a bunch of tip cuttings here. I think we're averaging about 6. I think we can do 6 cuttings across. So we're just going to limit it to 6. Verbena are tender perennials. So there is an opportunity, if we do this right, we could bring this basket in and bring back, the verbena, the petunias. I had them one year survive down to really cold temperatures, but I'm not going to bring that basket in. There's too much that could be living in it that would go into my freshly sprayed greenhouse. I don't want to do that. All right, we got that one out of the way. I'm going to do some cuttings of Mr. Ross's purple. This one's super sticky right now. It has a lot of stickiness, like more than I've realized any other time of the year. So Mr. Ross's purple. This is the one that I've kind of treated as a tender perennial. It has survived really cold temperatures. I've got it planted all over the place here in hopes that I can repeat my experiment on having a cold hardy petunia. see if that's something that I can actually get to work. So those of you wondering, Dip and Grow, 20-to-1 on the ratio for the rooting hormone. And yeah, it would be important to use rooting hormone this time of year. Anything to promote that root growth, because it's, you know, later in the season and things are wanting to go into dormancy and we're asking them to grow again. So that's kind of counterintuitive to them. But if you look at the firefly petunias in the greenhouse, they're all getting supplemental lighting. So they are in bloom mode. So they're producing a lot of buds and blooms, and not in dormancy or you know, growth or foliage mode. So that's actually kind of nice there. They'll be really easy to take cuttings of, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to grow some cuttings indoors and grow some cuttings outdoors, just kind of the just in case I have a horrible night where my environmental systems fail and my greenhouse freezes. I don't want to lose all of my firefly petunias and all that work that I've done with those. I want to make sure that that lives on until next season. But you can bet I am going to I'm still going to buy new firefly petunias next year. And I think what I'll do is I'll do a series when they first start being available. And what we'll do is we'll order their set of 3 plugs, and then I'll show you how they arrive, and we'll just go through the whole setup and we'll just follow those plugs through the entire year. So we'll start at ground level where you start, and I'll show you each step of the way on what you need to do and where you need to go. That one didn't need the dibble stick. These are pretty woody, so it's probably going to be rough getting some of those to actually survive. But that's okay, because this particular Bacopa I know I can buy locally. It's just, it won't be available to me until it's too late to put into the big hanging baskets. Wouldn't you know it, I accidentally tied that other basket into its watering system, so I actually can't get it undone. But we're going to go ahead and grab some cuttings anyway. So I just grabbed a whole handful of plant material. Get this trimmed up. Get the leaves out because they don't need to be subterranean leaves. So this is a Moray King of Hearts, one that I think would make an excellent addition to the Firefly line. I do believe I've got some seed for this one. It's got this red and white, the red and white blossom, which would be pretty cool to have red and white stripes. And then, you know, of course, the white part glowing. And again, this is another one that's going to be difficult to find. So that's kind of why we're trying to save some of these. My Pink Vein and my Mr. Ross's Purple, if those were the only 2 petunias that I got to survive, I'd be kind of happy with that. Those were ones that I rather enjoy. There are a few other types of petunia that I'd love to get. One that I'd love to find and track down is called Bubblegum, and it gets absolutely enormous, forms wonderful baskets. But the vendor that I was working with this spring actually didn't carry it. Bubblegum was owned by a different company, so I wasn't able to get those. All right, there we go. So there is, well, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, there is 3 dozen cuttings for our baskets for next year. Not all of them will take. Some of them will, some of them won't. But we only really need one of each to survive, and then we can take cuttings over the winter, and then we'll be ready to start planting them up in January, which, believe it or not, we're middle of October, so it's not that far away. So hopefully these survive, and that way we can have our great big baskets that we enjoyed, with varieties that you can't really go out and buy as a general homeowner. They're generally kind of heirloom style basket plants that you would find from a commercial grower putting in their commercial baskets. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed a little bit of this to see a little bit of the other side, and just hear a little bit more from you. As always, I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you subscribe, and if you feel so led, please join one of our memberships. Ag Teacher Thoughts, out.